Did you have any idea when you started this what a phenomenon it was going to be?
Absolutely no idea at all. No. This is the sixth thing I've made with Stephen, and we've made some stuff that I'm incredibly proud of. And everything we sort of always started with the intent of let's try and change the world with this one, and then to be part of this moment with this show has just been amazing.
Why do you think it's caught on the way it has?
I wish I knew. If I knew, then I'd have a much more successful career than I do. I think that sometimes you get lucky with things. I think probably it comes down to um, the amazing way that Phil shot it, and the fact that people are interested technically in how it was done, but also because of the amazing cast. We were able to tell a story that felt like it meant something to people and spoke to our moment, the moment that we're in, and so yeah, I think probably those two elements combined.
How did you get interested in this story in the first place?
Stephen Graham. So Stephen phoned me up and said, I want to tell a story about knife crime, and I want it to be a one-shot thing. And I said, okay, I'm in. From then on, it was a matter of working out exactly how we tell it, how the episodes would work, how the grammar of the one shot could speak to the grammar of our writing process and the storytelling that we wanted to do, and a lot of thinking, a huge amount of thinking about Jamie Miller. I thought about no one else for about a year and a half. So yeah, all those elements.
I love how you just throw out the one shot thing as if it's so easy, but that one shot thing, it's pretty complicated. What was it about the one shot that helped that informed the storytelling so much?
We had to change the way we wrote. The one shot is incredibly exciting as an idea, but if it doesn't have purpose, then it just becomes a camera being thrown around. We were all intent on telling a story that sort of used the grammar of the one shot through the script, and the script has a weird primacy in the one shot because everything has you can't correct anything in the edit. So any mistakes that we made in the script would sort of be magnified through this process. And the way that it changed the writing process was it led to decisions like we're going to make clear that Jamie did it at the end of episode one. We're going to tell incomplete stories. We're going to leave questions unanswered because when you're watching it, the effect that we wanted to have, and I think the effect that Phil pulled off so beautifully, was one of you're holding your breath. You're just literally taking a big gulp of air and it's expelled through an hour. And then at the end of it, you're left with a feeling more than a set of sort of, oh, story blocks. And for me, I think viewers have got very tired of the way that they're told stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the sort of Rob McKee has been truly challenged in cinema in the way that they tell stories in cinema, but in TV, even the golden age of TV, the McKee sort of like the block telling that this is you tell this here and then you answer it there, you tell this here and then you answer it there, that sort of thing of like you need to end an episode with this sort of feeling, this sort of acceleration at the end that then gets answered in the first 15 minutes of the next episode, and then this and then this and then this. And I think that what you're seeing at the moment in terms of storytelling, and for me it started with WandaVision. I thought WandaVision was one of the best shows of the last 20 years. And I think the way that it exploded the grammar of TV was incredibly healthy. And I think we're sort of part of the same thing of just trying to challenge the way a viewer watches so that the phone goes down. Weirdly, Squid Game was like that too. All these shows that just kind of go, okay, we need to change it because people are used to finding answers at certain points, and we want to not do that, and the one shot really helped with that.
And then so much of it then relies on the performances. I mean, talk about working with Stephen.
Stephen Graham is one of the most special people, if not the most special person I know. I love him dearly, and being in a partnership with him in this process has been one of the true joys of my life. And what Steve can do as a performer, I think, is remarkable. And the amount of times in the script it basically says the camera rests on Eddie's face. I do subscribe to the. I'm gonna misquote him, but Hitchcock says something along the lines of dialogue is just the words actors say while their faces tell the story. And I really do believe that. I do believe that what I'm doing as a storyteller is giving space for them to tell the story. And with Stephen, he tells 1,000 stories all at the same time and spins 1,000 plates in those eyes that just kind of bore into you. And so, yeah, no, he's amazing.
There are so many moments when I just think about his face crumpling once he realized that his son has done it, that it just realized, like, wow, like your writing takes you so much of the way, but also it's the marriage of your writing plus his performance that really delivers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stephen has a beautiful relationship with masculinity in that I sort of know of very few other people who are more sort of masculine than him in that, he could lift me up and twist me around his finger and then throw me over a wall. But at the same time, his ability to show his own cowardice, his ability to show his own pain, his ability to show the harm that he could do, all these things just sort of bubble up inside him and he can let them out at will. I mean, he's done it in script meetings too, where we're meeting with executives and suddenly he becomes Eddie Miller and shows an aggression that they're not expecting and they're just kind of reeling back against it. He's phenomenal.
And then, given that, how much pressure did you feel to cast Owen? I mean, he really is such an incredible find. I can only imagine thinking how you were ever gonna cast that role.
The most fortuitous thing I think that's ever happened to me in my career, in terms of being given the opportunity to work with a young actor like that could do that sort of thing. I take no credit for finding Owen. Owen was found by a combination of Shaheen and Shaheen Baig, our amazing casting director, and Phil. I can tell you about the first week of rehearsals. So the way that each episode broke down is we had rehearsal week, technical week, shoot week, and we shot episode 3 first because Stephen was busy on a film. And so that first week of rehearsals was me, Phil, Erin, Matt Lewis, and Sarah, our first, in a room that stank of sawdust. And Owen walked into that room and he was a nervous teenager. Mm-hmm. And by the end of that first week, as a result of Erin's incredible generosity and incredible brilliance, and a result of Phil's such masterly direction, by the end of that first week, he was Jamie Miller. And it was the closest thing to magic I've ever seen happen, because you couldn't believe that kid that walked in became that kid that left that room on Friday. And from then on, we were cruising. From then on, we knew we had a Jamie that the show could sit on his shoulders. And to sit on the shoulders of a 13-year-old is quite a thing to ask of someone. And Owen just rose to the occasion over and over and over again.
You mentioned that you knew what you had in Stephen. Did you have to make any adjustments to the script given Owen?
There were little things that happen all the time, and that thing of that you're constantly, because we had this rehearsal week, it was like being in the theatre again, and you're constantly adapting a script to this voice, because why wouldn't you? And there was a brilliant thing that happened accidentally on the take that we actually used of episode 3, where Owen yawned, and to have a yawn as part of Jamie's, it was not something I would have written in, but to make that part of it was just brilliant. But the big discussion we had was I'd written in the piece of him talking about him being ugly. Mm-hmm. And the producers and execs rightly asked the question, we've cast someone that is conventionally a very attractive young lad. Does it still make sense, him saying that about himself? And I said, absolutely, because the whole point about Jamie is he doesn't see the world as other people see it. And he doesn't feel about himself the way that other people might perceive him to feel. Mm-hmm. And he has been broken he's been broken by a whole number of different things. And he does believe he's ugly. And he believes he's ugly because he doesn't have shoulders that are 6 feet wide, because he doesn't look, his hair doesn't look the way that he wants his hair to look. And because when he scans the room in a classroom, he doesn't feel that he's making people think that he's attractive. And so when he says these words, he absolutely authentically means these words, even though as an audience we're feeling this juxtaposition. Actually, that juxtaposition is really useful.
I know you did a ton of research. What surprised you the most in all of the research that you did? What shocked you the most?
I mean, research is a really interesting journey when you're building a character, because just as when actors are looking for the shoes that they're going to wear in order to play a character, you're looking for the shoes that make you feel like you understand a character and that you can take an audience on a journey with that character. When Stephen and I were first talking about it, we weren't talking about incel culture. We weren't talking about the manosphere. We weren't talking about any of that stuff. That stuff came later. And that stuff came later because I was still struggling to find Jamie. I was still struggling to find the anger that drove him. And the anger that drives him comes from all sorts of different places. He is not just a product of inceldom. He is not just a product of the manosphere. And he would not describe himself as an incel. Other people describe themselves as an incel. I'm just getting all the caveats in first before I say the thing that I found most powerful when going through this stuff was I wasn't looking at the big guys. I wasn't looking at the Andrew Tates of this world. I was looking at the people that get 3,000, 4,000 hits on their videos, who are Jamie's age, 13, 14, 15, 16. And it's when I started hearing again and again and again, 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. I think that is such a powerful idea. Obviously, it's not right, but it's such a powerful idea. And as someone that was looking to feel the way that Jamie felt, it was the first time when I went, yes, I can now see the world through his eyes. I can now understand what that classroom feels like. I can now understand what his life feels like, where he's just going, I'm battling with losing odds against a world that wants to hate me. And as soon as I sort of felt those things, suddenly the lights turned on for me, and I could understand him in a new way.
What do you want people to take away from this? What do you want people to learn from this?
We need to talk to our children, and I mean we as a society. I think boys are in real difficulty right now, and I'm not saying they haven't always been. I was in difficulty when I was a teenager. Male rage is a story as old as time. Right now, and I've heard even more about it since we've done the show, there is a problem with what we are suggesting to boys their future might be, and what we're suggesting to boys is the answer to how to face that future. It's not just about how they feel towards women. It's also about how they feel towards themselves, the way that they feel like they're expected to look and behave and be. And the answer will not come from government. It will not come from schools. It will not come from parents. It will not come from friends. It has to come from a combination of all those things. I believe government need to intervene. I believe that the things kids are being exposed to is too much for the plasticity of their brains. But I also think we need to just have people sit on the sofa together. First and foremost, we want to have written an entertaining show, right? And we want to have written a show that people want to watch and want to talk about afterwards. But in terms of how we discuss the question in the show, the show does not have any answers within it. We are a big old question mark of a show, and we're trying to be a big old question mark of the show. And we hope that this show leads to people talking to much more clever people than we are about how to deal with this problem. But it is that conversation. We need to be having this conversation and trying to work out ways to reach these kids.
It's easy to plant a target on the back of social media, but I've read where you said that you were a Jamie, and I know that this is a problem, like you said, that's been going on for a while with boys, but social media has just exacerbated it.
Not just through giving a platform to, the manosphere and other forms of the manosphere, but also it's exacerbated it because it's created anxiety, and that anxiety then creates a need to fulfill that anxiety, and the fulfillment of that anxiety leads to other problems, and it's a circle. It's a pebble that's gone into the water and is creating the ripples, and we are not in control of the ripples.
Did you always know where you were going to end it when you started? Was it clear that, Jamie was going to have done it, that you weren't going to blame the parents, that it was going to end, with Stephen the way it did?
Yes, uh, but also I would challenge the notion that we don't blame the parents,
Mm.
because I think, although we don't lay all the blame at the parents' door, I think the spheres of I think there's about 60 people probably who could have changed what happened that night,
Hmm.
who could have intervened to change what happened that night. One of my favorite moments in the entire show is in episode 1 when Stephen visits Jamie in his cell and tells him to eat his cornflakes, eat his cornies, and he doesn't hug him. And he touches him, but he doesn't hug him. And that wasn't in the script. That was found between the two of them. But it was exactly the Eddie that we talked about, Stephen and I, for months before, in terms of this man who is so many things and so open and so ready, but at the same time not able to reach his boy. And I think if any moment sums up why this tragedy happened, it was that a kid in an incredibly vulnerable situation isn't taken into a physical embrace. It speaks to everything in the show, I think, and that's why I love the show, and that's why I I love the power we gave to the actors in the show.
How has it changed you as a father, as a parent?
It's made me terrified, and I have great feelings of inadequacy. And I say parents need to talk to their kids. And I tried to talk to Elliot, my kid, but there's often he doesn't want to talk to me. Often he wants to talk about other stuff. And he wants to do other things. We have a good time. We just had a weekend away together, him and I, and it's fun, and we're having we have a laugh. But trying to work out how to help him, because he's perfect right now. He's 9 and he's perfect. As he enters more dangerous years, is a big question for me. I am trying to get parents to sign a smartphone-free childhood pact, which is where parents basically work as a unit and say, none of us will get a smartphone for our kid, and until they're 14, and they've got a bit more understanding of what a smartphone is and what social media is. And I am trying to get his friends' parents to sign up to it, and hopefully that will mean that he's not as badly affected as he might otherwise be. But I don't know how to keep him safe. I really don't.